Black bean Burmese tofu? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Ken Johnson. So today we're going to be doing another struggle meal experiment. We're going to be doing a Burmese tofu using black beans, so stay tuned. So these right here are frijoles negros, or black beans. If you're not from America or North America, black beans are not black soybeans. In other parts of the world, especially in Asia, black beans are black soybeans. But here in North America, this is a type of bean that it's a very tough bean. I've tried cooking them in the past. It's very hard to get them tender, but they do have a phenomenal flavor. I do like the flavor of it. So what I'm wanting to do today is I'm wanting to get these soaking, and I'm going to make these into Burmese tofu, and we're going to see if we can't make this into a faux beef. This is not going to be a vegan meal. This is kind of one of those budget-friendly meals, something to kind of stretch the dollar a little bit when things get a little hard. And so this package here, most beans in America come in 16-ounce bags. And so when you do a 16-ounce bag of beans, a half a bag is roughly a cup here in America. However, because this is Goya brand and Goya does things differently, this is going to be a little shy of a cup of beans. So, but it's going to be a half bag. You could do a cup and it'd be just a little bit more. It's not going to affect anything. You may have to adjust your seasoning just a little bit, but not that much. Now this right here is a little bit more difficult with these beans because they are black. But what I'm doing, I'm just kind of looking through here and making sure that there's no beans in here I don't like. Goya, I will say, does a pretty good job of having very clean beans, better than most. And so I'm really happy about that. I'm not seeing anything really that bad compared to other brands I've dealt with in the past. So we're going to drain this out and I'm going to show you what I'm doing with this. Alright, so black beans are in a quart zip top bag. 7 ounces or 195 grams roughly. And what we're going to do now is we're going to add 3 cups of fresh water, seal this up, and put it in the refrigerator. With these filled up with water, they'll go into the refrigerator overnight. So future me here, the idea of using the Ziploc bags or zip top bags, bad idea. That right in the corner, if it's not sealed just perfectly, or if when they were doing the heat sealing treatment they didn't get it exactly right, you will get little pinholes, and they're not totally airtight, and they will leak everywhere. Ask me how I know. So yeah, where I had the beans, I actually had a bunch of different projects all in bags, and it all leaked, and I had a big giant tray of mess. So don't do that. Put them in a bowl, cover them up. I just didn't have room because I'm doing multiple experiments all on the same day, and what you have to do when you're a YouTuber and you're pressed for time, so just put them in a bowl, cover them up with some plastic wrap, they'll be fine. If you put them in a zip top bag, like I said, you're gonna have issues. They might spill, leak. You don't really want that. I just wanted to show the soaking liquid from these beans. Within the first hour, they had a look of like concentrated Welch's grape juice, and they have only gotten darker since then. It's this deep dark purplish color. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse these beans off good, drain them, and then we're going to put these in a blender. I did want to show this. So I've dealt with Burmese tofu before, and in doing this, the beans have always, you put in 1 cup of beans dry, and then you put the water in there, and they'll soak up to be 3 cups, almost always. However, as I've said before, black beans, they're extremely difficult to cook. There's always been issues I've had with black beans, and here's another case of that. They only doubled in size. They did not go any more than double. So I've only got 2 cups of black beans. So that's that's kind of interesting. If you're trying to do a struggle meal, you're trying to do something on budget and do this type of deal, just realize that you're not going to get possibly the same amount as you would any other bean. I don't know, we're still experimenting with this, but maybe you get the same amount. Maybe it has no bearing on anything, but right now it's looking like I'm going to actually get a little bit less yield. To this 2 cups of beans, I'm going to go ahead and add 2 cups of water. We got the water added in. Now we're going to add in some Taco Bell original taco seasoning. So this right here is 1 ounce or 28 grams in a package. Now, if you're not used to Taco Bell, let's say you're not in a country that has Taco Bell for some reason, it is very, very mild. It is meant for American palate. So even though it's supposed to be taco seasoning, you don't really have a hard and heavy cumin flavor in the seasoning. It's just more real mild garlic and onions and a few other spices. So you could actually put this in here, and it's not, you could then put barbecue sauce, you could use it in stir fries, whatever. It's not that stereotypical Tex-Mex flavor that America is known for when we do what we call Mexican food. And here it is going in. The next thing we're going to add is beef bouillon cubes. And the reason why I'm using this is because growing up, we were poor and we still had bouillon cubes. So this is a seasoning most Americans have ready access to. Even if you're, in dire straits, $1, $2, you can have bouillon cubes. It's very affordable. So that's the reason why I'm doing this. If I was not trying to do this as a struggle meal and do this as maybe some type of, experiment into elevated cooking, I would use fish sauce. I could use oyster sauce, even Marmite. So you could really season this any way you wish. In case you've never seen a bouillon cube, they come individually wrapped. It does have meat in it, beef, because this is beef here, and so it does have beef in it. Therefore, it is not vegan or vegetarian. Again, this is struggle meal stuff, not vegan, vegetarian cooking. The other thing to keep in mind is that these are very salty, so I'm only using 2 cubes. Okay, I put this into my Ninja blender, and I blended it for a good 3 minutes or so, and there's still some chunky bits in there. Black bean is a very hard bean to break down. We're going to go ahead now and add this to the cooking pot. Okay, so I poured this into a pot, and then I took about another cup of water, rinsed out the carafe of the blender, and poured that in here as well. So that's 3 cups of water, and now we're going to go ahead, turn this on to medium-high, which on an electric oven or electric stovetop is about an 8 here in America, and we're just going to start stirring this constantly. Alright, we've got to stir this constantly for 15 minutes because beans are high in starch. A lot of people don't realize that. So black beans alone have 27 grams per serving of carbohydrate. And so we don't want this starch to stick to the pot here as we stir. So for 15 minutes I'll be here stirring away. Already about 3 minutes into the cook, and this is getting nice and thick. We're now halfway into the 15-minute cook, and this right here is getting thick. You can see where you can run a line through it and it tries to slowly seal up, but it's very, very thick right now. Alrighty, so this right here is like thick oatmeal. You can kind of stick a spoon right there. This is very thick. You can see how thick it is. So think thick oatmeal. And what we're going to do now is put this into a container and mold it. This right here is the container I'm using. It is basically a split container where you put sandwiches in there or whatever for picnics and lunches and things of that nature. It's 1,840 milliliters or 65 ounces. Normally what I do is put this recipe into one of the containers, not both container or both sides of the container, but only half of it. It fills all the way up to the top usually, which ends up giving me 920 milliliters or 32.5 ounces of Burmese tofu. Guys, this is absolutely pathetic. I filled it up just about halfway full. Well, actually a little bit over halfway full, but not much more than halfway full. So I got almost half the yield that I normally would get out of a recipe like that. That's the reason why I don't like using black beans for dishes where you're having to replace it for another bean, because it just doesn't act like a lot of beans. Black beans have their own purpose, style, taste, everything else, but they just don't behave like a normal traditional bean does. So what we're going to do is lid this up, put it in the refrigerator, let it sit for a minimum of 1 hour. 3 hours would be best. Alright, let's take a look at the tofu. And here it is in all its glory. Don't look that great. You can see it kind of pulls apart from the edges real easily. So let's go ahead and get it out of the container. Okay, just put this on here. Flip her over. There you go. So now what I'm going to do is just cut some very, very thin slices. I'm not going to cut a bunch of slices because I just want enough to make a taco. And this is what it looks like. So what I'll do is I'm going to cut these pieces in half just so that they'll fit on a taco. I cut 3 little slices, super thin, about 2 millimeters wide. And so we'll see how this goes. Alright, they're in the pan cooking with some oil. Alright, they're in the pan cooking with some oil. One thing I will say, I am noticing it behave differently than the Mayakoba bean. The Mayakoba bean tofu, when I was frying it out, that oil, it was just going through all the pores. You could just see it sucking it up. The black bean is resisting the oil. I mean, some's coming through, but it's resisting the oil more. I don't know about you, but that looks kind of like steak frying up in the pan to me. At least it looks more like steak than anything else I've tried that's vegan. I'm not saying this is vegan, but, you know, meat substitute, fake meat. Alrighty, so I've got me a carb balanced tortilla. Gotta remember, this is a high starch meal, and I'm diabetic, so I have to get all the help I can get. I'm gonna warm this up for just a little bit, and we'll put some of the fake meat, the Burmese tofu, on here and make us a taco. Here we go with our fake meat. Definitely looks reminiscent of steak. A little lettuce to be healthy. A little sprinkling of coagulant cheese. Some pico de gallo. And a few dollops of sour cream. Future Ken here, so from this point going forward, I am going to be saying the word Mayakoba bean a lot. And that's because I was doing multiple experiments and I grabbed the wrong container. I thought that I grabbed Mayakoba bean. I had actually grabbed the garbanzo bean. And so the garbanzo bean, or chickpea, is what I'm referring to. So if you hear me say Mayakoba bean, that's not what I meant. I meant to say chickpea or garbanzo bean. So sorry about that. So there is a flavor there that I was trying to place. Now, if you like chili, you know that there is a cavernous divide between those that like beans in their chili and those that like no beans. And I'm not going to say one is right over the other. However, if you put pasta in your beans, I'm sorry, you're wrong. Or in your chili. But with some beans, when you cook them, especially in chili, sometimes there'll be a wang when you use beans, certain beans, and it's a irony, minerally flavor. It is not the bean itself giving a flavor of bean, it is a off flavor of certain beans. And that black bean has a really, really, really minerally flavor. In many ways, it'd be almost like you took liver and put it in there. So I thought that was kind of weird. I wasn't expecting that. It is super crispy. and that crispiness is not adding anything. Now, like with the Mayakoba beans, that crispiness really did add a lot. With these beans, I'm not getting that much. So I'm going to do what I did with my Mayakoba bean experiment. I'm going to take it and fry out a piece of this tofu and see what it tastes like just fried out. Before I get this frying, I really wanted to show you the difference between the Mayakoba bean and the black bean tofus. So same amount of oil for the black bean tofu, and this was what was left over out of the frying. Mayakoba bean, all that oil was absorbed. I think that's the reason why it was so unctuous. This is not absorbing anything. I'm pretty sure most of the oil will still stay behind, so I'm interested to see how this is going to taste just by itself. And also I cut it a little thicker than I did the Mayakoba, because I found out that the Mayakoba, it actually got mushy, and so you cut it real thin to have that flavor. You can't really do big thick pieces of it. But this right here, it was so crunchy that it was almost tough. So I'm wanting to see what will happen after we fry it. Does it keep that interior? If it does, I wanted to make fake chicken tenders out of the Mayakoba bean tofu, and I couldn't. Could I take this right here and make artificial steak fingers or fake steak fingers with this? That'd be an interesting thing to find out. I will say that it browns up a lot quicker than the Mayakoba bean tofu, so this right here does brown out very quickly. That right there just looked like a piece of steak. I'm telling you, if I didn't know better and I was watching somebody cooking, I'd say that was steak. It's got the look. Hey, Blue. Alright, so I got Bluford here with me, and we're going to see if he likes this or not. He's not spitting it out yet. Alright, I don't know if that's I'll take another or not. He's eating it. Now, his mom and his dad didn't like liver, but he would take a liver treat when they won't. Or when they wouldn't. They passed on, but he will take a liver treat, and this has a liver taste almost. So I'm thinking, nope. He left that one. He like, nope, I'm done. And he's not going after it. So, what? Finally got taste in your mouth, and you're like, nope. What you saying? 4 out of 10? Don't recommend? Well, got it straight from the dog's mouth. Well, not all experiments work out, and this is the reason why I do these, so that you know what to try and what not to try. So I hope you found this video to be informative, entertaining. You got some type of positive benefit out of it. Hit that like button, subscribe if you hadn't already, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.